Hey, it's Barry.
And Dave.
And Jerry.
And Dan.
Here with another episode of Hooked on Headwaters. Today we're filming from Sebastian Riverfront Riverview Park. As you can see, the intercoastal waterway behind us. We like to change things up a little bit and bring you reports from different locations. So if you're out and about in the area, you can stop by some of these neat places and check them out. So, jumping into this week, we're going to talk about a little bit quick weather report. Dan's going to talk about props this week. Definitely want to pay attention to that report. Jerry's going to talk. All right, folks, so kicking off the week as far as weather goes, we're going to be looking at pretty much your usual afternoon range. It's going to be hit and miss. We're looking at 10, 15, even up to as much as 20-mile-an-hour winds coming out of the east, southeast. The typical stuff on the lake. But it should be good fishing in the morning. That's really when you want to fish anyway, due to the temperatures alone. It gets pretty darn hot out there pretty darn quick. So get out early, catch your fish, and get out, go home and relax, or go to work, whatever it is you're going to do. Dan?
Yes, sir.
Fishing reports, brother. What do you got going on?
Fish reports. I had my last trip. My last trip was more of showing a customer around the lake. Okay. He's from Pennsylvania, a guy named Bob. Bob, if you're watching, hope you're doing well. So he's down in the summer, and he's spending the summer down, and we just ran around a lot of the deep water spots and some of the areas that have some little bit deeper hydrilla, because I've found in the summertime a lot of times those fish will either move deep or they'll move under some cover. You know, I know there's a lot of fish that get caught this time of year punching or flipping deep hydrilla. That's a really good technique. Jerry's going to talk about some big worm, fishing big worms. But we did catch some. I actually caught one on a big 10.5-inch June bug old monster in about 8.5, 9 foot of water that had some hydrilla on the bottom. And caught some on rattle traps too. He wanted me to show him kind of how I do my thing with rattle traps, with, you know, the braid, like some of the previous videos we talked about. So, and it was tough in the morning when we were doing a little bit of fishing earlier in the day, and it was about midday we caught him on rattle traps and then down deep on that big worm. Yeah, nice. So,
yep. Got to give him something a little bigger presentation right now.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Jerry.
What's up?
What's going on as far as the size of baits out there? You know, we're kind of making this transition into a lot of heat. Fish are down in cooler water. They're not really moving around a lot. So,
well, you know, it's kind of like what you were saying. I mean, this is going to be an early morning thing, or it's going to be a late afternoon thing. When I say late afternoon, I mean from like 6 o'clock until dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, you take these big 10-inch worms, 12-inch worms, the old monsters, one y'all were just talking about.
Yep.
I think Fluke makes a couple, or actually Gambler makes a couple that are 10.5-inch worms. But those big, long, hardy worms, even the ones with the big ribbon tails, you know, get them on a 1/4 ounce bullet weight, something like that, in the deepest water you can find, and I mean just slow roll it. So you can do that right now. And then something else that I've noticed just by been seeing what's coming in and by what we've been doing as well is the punch and bite. Is picking up. So right now, if you're punching pads or punching hydrilla, stuff like that right now, that's also another good way to be catching big fish right now. Is punching those pads for sure.
They want to be in that
1.5 tungsten weight, 3-inch crawls, you know, something like that. You know, you can catch them like that as well right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some hyacinth.
Rattle traps, same thing. Midday rattle traps. I mean, the fish are it.
Yeah, they're there. They ain't going anywhere. You just got to give them something that they're willing to go after. You know, expend the energy to go after.
And that's it. And that's it. You know, it's hot. They're no different than we are. You know, if they're going to move and they're going to feed, they want it to be something that's worth exerting them calories to do it.
To get it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks, and one quick update as far as the lake. About 243, 245 acres of lake will be supposed to be being sprayed by St. John's Water Management this week. Somewhere in the lake, don't know the exact areas, but there is a plan for that. They're going after the hyacinths and the lettuce and some
pads,
cattails and things like that. So don't be surprised if you see some things going on over there. Helicopter spray. If you see some of the stuff dying off, don't go into a panic. It ain't a big deal. It's a planned management move that they've had in the works for quite some time, and the whole lake is, you know, part of that plan. And those things need to happen to keep things under control so it doesn't get unmanageable or unfishable.
Yeah.
If you just leave it alone. I know a lot of people say, hey, don't spray. Well, if you don't spray and the whole lake
it'll suffocate it out,
winds up filling out, you're not going to be able to get out there anyway. So.
And then they have to burn the entire lake.
Right.
And we don't want that. So it's better to spot spray than to nuke the whole place.
Absolutely. All right, folks. As always, I want to reach out and thank our sponsor, the Davis House Inn, which is just up the road from where we are. If you're looking for a great location that's close to the lake, but also close to great eating, entertainment, on the water, Davis House Inn is absolutely the place to stay. Big room, super clean, and they will take care of you. Kyle and Paula will take care of you over there for sure. So give them a call. Information is down below and in the description further down. All right, we're going to jump over to Dan here, who's going to talk about how to prop your boat correctly based on what you're doing, how you're running your boat, kind of the conditions that you're running around in. So I'm going to get out of the way so you can bring them big old props in here and do what you got to do. All righty.
Good.
Good deal.
Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is give you a very basic talk on props. We're not going to go really in depth on it. Just want to give you some ideas, especially you guys that are new to boating or bass boats. So this is going to be more curtailed toward, say, a bass boat and things like that. So I was out with a customer a while back. We took his boat, and I was really impressed how well his boat jumped up on plane. And he said, yeah, I just put a new prop on it and it's great. He said before, when he would go to get on plane, the boat would really plow, you know, really bow high, plowing, and it would finally come up on plane, and then it'd be pretty quick. The problem what he was having is he was over propped. What I'm saying is, when I say over propped,
Overpitched.
He had too much pitch on his prop. So what we have here, this was a prop that I got when I originally bought my boat. It came with it. This is a 28 raker. So it's 28. So a quick thing on pitch. So what the pitch tells you is in one revolution,
how much water that prop bites.
Well, what's the distance? Like if it was in a solid, how much distance would it go? So this particular prop is a 28 pitch. So it would go 28 inches. So that's like in your truck or your car is a high gear. This particular prop, obviously it's got an extra blade, we'll get into that. This is a 23-inch pitch, okay? So that means this prop, when it turns one revolution in a solid, it would go 23 inches. So it's like a lower gear in your vehicle, kind of. So if you're finding that your boat, when you go to get on plane, no matter what kind of boat you have, and it just won't get up and come, if you're plowing, it won't just come up on plane, you're probably over propped. Or it could be two other things. One, you're severely overloaded, or three, you forgot to put the plug in your boat and you're sinking. So been there, done that. Just beware. So there's a couple other things like we talk about. You've heard the cup in the prop. It's like this little edge here. You can kind of see it's got some more cup. It's where the back of the blade is formed kind of cup-like. That actually provides more lift to the boat.
We deal with these. It's the same, but it's in a different method. But we deal with the same thing in airboat props too.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've got too much prop and you don't have the horsepower to move that prop, then you're not ever going to get up on plane.
Right, you can't get the torque.
If you've got if you don't have enough bite, enough pitch, then you will over rev your motor and never get the performance out of it. So there's a happy medium.
Right, same way with the broke props.
So yeah.
So let me think here.
I run a 4-bladed prop, but that's what comes on that 115 standard. Is I think, and I want to say it's either a 17 or a 19 pitch, but
sounds about right.
Yeah.
So
good little prop. So
some differences between a 4-blade and a 3-blade. These are the 4-blade's kind of more known for carrying a heavier load, where a 3-blade is typically, this is general statements, is typically more of a in the bass boat world, is typically more of a speed type prop. So this is my new prop. I haven't even run it yet. What I have on the boat now, this was my spare, which was way too much prop. I was over propped.
That's a 23, you said?
This is a 23. I'm running a 26. Yeah. But like you're like me when you're guiding. My boat is heavy laden with all kinds of gear.
Well, no, and that's the thing. That's not a normal one-guy bass fishing. You've always got 3 or 4 people, fuel, waters, ice, tool, tackle, everything. Yeah, it's a lot of weight. So that's a work prop. That's a horse.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to do. What my intention is having a better hole shot. That's where, if you don't know what a hole shot is, when you go throttle up, is to get the boat kind of out of the water and on top of the water. So the reason I want that is, one, it doesn't take us long to get up on plane.
Like this.
Right. And two, when you're plowing, your motor goes actually much deeper in the water.
Sure.
And when you hit something, if you hit something, when you have a tremendous amount of torque on your prop, you're going to totally
something's going to give. Something's going to give.
It's either going to be your prop. It's probably usually going to be your prop for sure. Or in a worst case scenario, it's going to be your lower unit as well. Yeah. So you go from a replacement of $700, $800, $500 to $3,000 if you got a big 250 or something. So that's something to think about, guys. These 4 blades, or excuse me, I don't want to say blades too much, because if you have too much pitch on your blades, even if you got 4 of them, you're over prop. So your pitch makes a big difference. So if you're having a problem getting your boat up on plane, you're probably over propped. One way to tell if you're under propped, kind of like what you're relating to with the airboats, is if you're turning your RPM and you're getting really high RPM and
you ain't doing nothing,
and you're moving at a snail's pace, you know you're over propped. And then in that situation, if you're trying to get somewhere and you're going over your manufactured,
you'll burn that motor up.
You'll blow up your motor.
You'll throw the rods out of it for sure. You'll throw the rods right out of it.
So that's kind of a basic overview, guys. So remember, pitch wise, if you need to get out of the hole a little better, drop down on your pitch. So go a lower number of your pitch. Now on the other hand, if you're looking for more speed and you're kind of over revving your motor, you need to go with a higher pitch prop. Okay, so that's that's kind of the basic thing. Think of it kind of like a gear in your vehicle.
That's what it is, basically. It's exactly what it is. It's a gear reduction is what it is, basically. I mean, So I mean,
they're like a big screw. Matter of fact, they call a prop. Sometimes they call them screws in big boats and yachts, or they call it a wheel as well. But that's kind of a basic overview to kind of change the performance of your boat. Now, something I've noticed lately is my boat actually performs better, as in getting on plane and handling, when I have full fuel. And the reason being is I have all of my tackle in the front of the boat, and I'm talking all my guide rods.
So it transfers that weight back.
Yeah, so I've got so much weight in the front. When I balance the boat out,
then it shoots up and does what it's supposed to do.
It actually gets on plane, handles better when on plane. So that's something to think about too, guys, is how your boat's loaded out. If you're, maybe we ought to do a video on that one time and see just how much stuff I have in my boat.
Well, I was in it a couple weeks ago. Let me just tell you, a lot.
Too much. It needs to go on a diet. I need to get rid of some stuff.
You clean out your closet, son.
Yeah, and I've done that before. But that's kind of a basic overview on props. If you have questions, put it in the comments below, and if I can answer the question, or Dave, or Barry, or Jerry can answer the question, we'll be happy to. And all right, moving on. So obviously we hope that we don't have any damaged props. I know I've bent a prop at Headwaters once, and we've discussed that in some of the previous videos that you and I did.
Yes.
We talked about the different areas that are kind of we have to use a little more caution.
For sure.
So some things to look for, when you get back to the ramp, you should always inspect the prop to make sure, especially if you know you bumped bottom, you need to check. Because if you have a bent blade on your prop, what that causes is an imbalance, and you get a lot of shake, just like an airboat prop. You can rip a motor off a boat.
It will. It'll catastrophically just tear itself apart.
Yeah, I'm talking about an airboat.
Yeah. Now,
an outboard prop, if you have a bend in your blade, you may not feel it when you're running the boat, but this propeller is on a shaft, and on the back of that shaft is some very some really tight tolerances on the gears.
And that wobbling is not good for it.
Oh, it's terrible on it. And again, a new lower unit for my boat's about $2,800, $3,000.
Yeah, you don't want any kind of vibration in it. You don't want any, if you get out, man, and you got blades that are bent over or something like that. First of all, in this style prop, both of these props, if you hit something, there's no possible way that you're going to come to the landing and one of these blades be bent and you not realize that you've hit something along the way, because these props are solid. So you just you can bend them. I mean, you can bend them, but you've got to really hit something. So you're just not going to come up there and be like, oh, how'd that happen? You're going to know you hit something if you've been one of the blades on these props.
There's been a couple times, over the years, if you're doing a lot of boating, freshwater, you can usually read the water pretty well, but you're eventually going to hit bottom somewhere. The worst place you really got to be careful is like at the ramp.
Yeah.
I've been a prop at a ramp on Okeechobee one time. I loaded at that same exact ramp. I don't know how many times. Loading up, boom. I don't know if
I've done it several times this year already, and messed up my skeg on my lower unit. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely it's there to happen.
It's going to happen at some point. So if you have a damaged prop, there's a couple things you can do. One, it does matter too about what material it's made of. You have a stainless, and they're also making them in aluminum. Most of the props can be repaired unless they're really damaged drastically. If you roll and curl an edge, like roll it around, you may not be able to fix that. This prop has been sent out twice, I think, at least once. It got bent on Okeechobee, and I actually bought a prop because in a tournament down there I couldn't run it. I dog-eared the blade. That was like 160 bucks back then. The problem with it is they'll straighten it, but they also grind the blade. So if they grind one blade, they have to grind the others to get the proper weight. Otherwise, we're back to an imbalanced situation.
And now you don't have the same size prop that you had.
And the prop is, if you bend it and send it out, it will never perform the same again, in my opinion.
It won't. It's not the same. There's not as much prop there anymore.
The raker I have on there now, the 26 that it's on the boat right now, I don't have near as much cup.
Yeah.
And the prop does not perform very well at all. So there are some other things that you can do, and one of them is straightening them yourself if you're comfortable doing that. I've straightened this one with some dings in it. You know, I'll do some dings. I fixed a friend's that actually kind of dog-eared the end of it, and I figured it might break when I hammered it back out, but it was fine. So how you do that, guys, is you're obviously going to need a hammer, but not just one hammer. You need to do this with 2 hammers. I prefer a heavier hammer. And so let's see. I had a little spot here I noticed was a little bit bent. I don't want to beat on a prop for no reason.
There's one right here.
Right there's
right there.
Yeah, it's actually rolled over this way. So what I'll do, if I have on the back of the blade, if it's bent too far, see that, Dave? If it's bent, let me turn sideways here. Let's say the blade is bent this way. I'm going to put my hammer, usually my bigger hammer, I guess you'd call it maybe like kind of like you'd buck a rivet with a block or whatever you call it, and you hold it against it and you hit with the other hammer. Okay, guys? And you're taking little bites. You don't want to hit it hard. Take a little bit at a time and work your way down the blade. Just a nice tap. You'll know what it's going to take once you start working on it. Okay, but always 2 hammers. Always 2 hammers. Hold one against the back. Now I've taken just a little bit and it's moved about 1/16 of an inch there. So always 2 hammers. Buck the back side of it. Tap the side, or vice versa. If it's bent forward, you just do the opposite. And then what you do is you look at your one blade. I typically do this when it's still on the boat, and I'll turn and I'll keep my eye in the same position, and I'll look at this blade. I'll look at this blade. I'll go back and see if the blade I'm working on actually matches the other blades that are not damaged. Hopefully you only have one of them damaged. So if you're not comfortable doing that, you can come back on over, Jerry. If you're not comfortable doing that, go to your outboard mechanic and ask them to send the prop off to be repaired. You know, this prop new, I don't know how much the raker is, but I think it's over 800 now. I know this one was up about 500.
Yeah, that one's a little cheaper than the raker.
Well, this is a Solus. This happens to be the raker, which was made an Evinrude prop. So if you have a prop that can be fixed, if it's bent, don't just throw it in the trash, because it's possible it can still be used and it's still of value.
Yeah, they're not cheap, that's for sure. Not
cheap at all. But you can send it out. I don't know what it is now. The last one I sent out was about 180 bucks to get it reworked. But 180 bucks.
A lot cheaper than a new one.
A lot cheaper than a new one. And you know, with the prices of everything and inflation, all this crap now, it might be over 200 to get one repaired. But it takes a lot of work to fix one of these things if you really dog-eared a blade. Now, some things to look for, guys, when you come in too. I was actually running this prop a while back because I think I damaged my other one. I can't remember, and I didn't have time to straighten it. Dave, if you can zoom in real close, something to look for is a crack.
I've already seen that.
Yeah, and that's one thing you have to be careful about when you're trying to straighten a prop. Now this prop, as I said, had been sent out once before, so this blade's pretty thin, but there's actually a hairline crack here. I just kept it strictly in the boat for a spare prop.
Is that a stress crack, or that's from actually bumping something with it?
I think it's just a fatigue crack from being repaired.
Yep.
That's my guess. But you don't want to run a prop like this, especially at high speeds, because what can happen is it can break a chunk of the blade off. I've seen them where an entire blade is broken off. And if that happens at a really high speed, high RPM,
not gonna be good.
You're probably going to lose your lower unit. Yeah. More than likely, you're going to lose your lower unit, or possibly even lose control of the boat. It's a pretty dangerous situation. So check your blades periodically, guys. Even if you can walk by visually see there's no damage, get in a little closer and check it. Be careful about running your fingers over blades kind of nonchalantly. I've cut myself doing that before with a little ding from, say, hitting a little rock or something, and laid myself open with that. But check for things like that, and should reduce the amount of time that you're off the water in case that happens. So I hope that's helpful, guys, and let us know if you are able to use this information and change the way your boat performs. I think you're going to like it. If you're really needing to reprop, it makes a big difference.
Okay, welcome back, folks. Barry had to skip out. He had an appointment, so we want to close things out. As far as kayaking, it's been a little tough. As far as the Headwaters kayak launch, it is just, there's no water. So you really got to haul your gear and your kayak way down and find a spot to launch from. I myself and a couple other friends have been launching from Stick Marsh, hanging all right, and working that north channel. It's a whole lot easier, and it's deep water, and they're fishing that deep channel. So
oh yeah, I've caught them good in there.
That's that front, that front lot.
Yeah, just work that channel all the way down, as long as your feet can take your paddle can take you. So with that said, we're going to wrap things up. We want to thank the blue.
That's what I was going to say.
Blue Cypress Lakeside Cabins for their support. Thanks, Jim and Tammy. Check them out. It's a beautiful lake to stay at. Really nice efficiency type of rooms. You will really enjoy it.
Yep, the guys with the tournaments has been fishing out there. They've been catching fish too.
Yep.
Blue Cypress
quality fish, and it's beautiful.
So
beautiful
check
place.
that out. If you have any comments, please comment below. Any questions for these guys? Please subscribe. It really helps us out. Any closing words, gentlemen?
I heard that your arms were a little sore after last weekend.
Oh yeah, y'all caught some fish, didn't you?
We did do a deep sea fishing trip.
That's right.
Offshore trip.
Yeah.
That's on our other channel, Hooked on Saltwater. So you want to check that out. I will link that video here. We had a super cool time with our offshore captain. We caught
beautiful fish. Snapper,
tuna,
dolphin, everything.
And it was an awesome day.
So, you got amberjack?
And not an amberjack, and
Almaco.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They caught it pretty good.
Yeah, I hear they're excellent eating.
Yeah.
So I still have that meat at home. So
I guess the snapper bites on. I mean, I guess that little three-day season's over. 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah,
but that's all you get on those.
Hooked on Saltwater. Don't miss out. All right, everyone. Thank you. God bless. Have a great week.
See you next week.